In McAfee application control, we have something that we're able to do called inventory. After the application control, aka solid core, is loaded onto a host, it does provide an inventory of all items running on that host and reports these back to EPO. You'll notice right now I'm looking at a reporting dashboard called the Inventory tab, and it shows things such as application vendors, license reporting, binary levels such as bad, unclassified, and good. These things are again reported back when application control runs on a host. Now we have the capability of actually taking a system and creating it as a good image, meaning anything that could be unclassified. We talked about what this means. This is the information that comes down from our GTI server. So good would be classified good, things that we've seen in the wild that may be malicious, or marked from our internal system as bad, and then things that are unclassified are things that GTI may not know about, so the binaries are not noted in the GTI cloud, or we haven't actually noted them as maybe such as a custom application we have running on our environment, but we would need to classify this. So the place we can go to look at this is under our menu, under our application control, and we're going to look at inventory. And when we look at the inventory, we're going to notice that we have some information pulled up. And you'll notice that when this information comes up, it comes up by application. So it shows that we have a number of good apps, a number of bad apps, and a number of unclassified apps. And we can expand some of these. For instance, we'll look at bad apps. These were applications that we actually classified as bad for our trust level for the enterprise. Nothing malicious about this code, but we didn't want them running in our environment, so we classify them as bad. What we can do is look by system, and when we look by system, we have the capability of saying something is a good image, right? So mark good. What that does for us is it basically recategorizes all the unclassified binaries or script files on the endpoint as good files and edits the enterprise trust level for these files. No changes are made to the bad binaries or script files on that endpoint. So if anything's bad on there, it won't reclassify it as good, but it basically says everything on here is good. So we can go in here. I've already marked this as a good image. And notice I have nothing unclassified. I have a bad app, which will continue to be bad because I've marked it in bad in one of my policies, which is iTunes. Trust level is bad. But then I have all my good apps here. So this is a nice way to be able to look at the applications I have running in my environment and classify maybe some custom applications as good applications in my environment. Now, another thing we can do is something called the image deviation. Image deviation is actually a server task that runs. So let's go ahead and go look at some of our server tasks. And I created this server task that will basically allow us to classify and look at different images to determine what's different or the same. So let's go ahead and view this. I created the solid core image deviation task. I'll click edit. And under here I see that it says solid core image deviation. I've enabled this. And I'll click next. And here's where I classify what is my good app or my good system versus the systems I want to compare. So I've basically said that the W7CK app C is my gold system. I just browsed to that using this option right here. I added that in. Then I said let's compare it with this system right here, and I've added that in. You can also compare by groups. We can also compare by system tags. So if you have your systems tagged with a specific piece of information to classify them, that's a way to do it. Or you can exclude system tags so you don't have to run this through. So only systems with inventory will be compared. So non-application control systems will not be compared. And the client tasks to populate the system is it's on EPO. So all of this is done via EPO server. So we can click next. And when do I want to do it? I want to do it daily, starting at this date at 9:30 in the morning. Most organizations would probably want to do it at a different time. I'm doing it early so that I have the opportunity to view my image information. I'm going to click next. I can review all of my options, and I'm going to save that task. Now, I did already run this task. You can also manually run it by clicking the run option, but I've already run it. So where we would go look at it once we've run it, so you'll notice mine ran this morning at 9:30 this morning. Tomorrow I'll get a new one. Next one at 9 on the 29th. So now we can go and actually look at the image deviation information. So it's again under our menu, application control image deviation. And in here, we have the capability of comparing. Now, initially I had done a system that was completely different, so I compared an XP system with a Windows 7 system, and you'll notice there's quite a big of a difference, right? Well, here it shows me that I have another Windows 7 system, and here's the file deviation. So I'm looking at the added new files, modified files, and the missing files, and I can click on these show deviations. And this is a really easy way for me to look at what's running in my environment that may be different. So this system came online yesterday, my other systems came online a while ago. This system is running Firefox. So since it was on the system when we whitelisted it, we added it to the deviation type. It's added from the original gold image. We also have things such as McAfee. So you'll notice that if it's a new file, it gets added, but if it's a modified file, it lets you know that it's modified, and it shows that it's allowed execution based on a number of things. So it could be something along the lines of that it's a trusted installer, and that's why it's allowed to install and update and modify these types of files. If we look at any of these, so we'll go back to Firefox as our example. We have all these new files that are installed, right? They're added. We can just click on any of these, and it's going to show me information about these files. So we're looking at all our files right here, and you'll show that they're unclassified. So from here we can do a couple different things. We can modify the filters. So right now if there's any missing files, we could add that in. I can update by specific path. I'm looking for something in a specific path. If we know a binary is running from someplace else, I can look for that. I can also look for exporting the table. So I can export this and send this off if I needed to and choose my export type capability. Or I can select my application. For instance, we'll use Firefox, and we can click on the application details. And this will give us application information about this item. So version, vendor, how often I've seen it, number of binaries that are included with this, and then the enterprise trust level that was assigned to it. We'll see where it is. So if it was in other systems, it would show us. And here it will show us all the binaries. So there are actions that we can take on these items based on these the image deviation task that we ran. So we can go back to the system information. Here's our system information. I can always wake up the agent from here if I want to send a wake-up call. I can ping it. I can apply other tasks to it. So for instance, I could tag the system. I can fetch more inventory if I think it's not good. I can mark it as good from here. So I can say this is a good binary. And we can move along from that aspect as well. We can also do items such as sort, view assigned policies for the system, and get a better understanding of what this system is. So we can do a lot from this inventory menu. So hopefully this helped you understand a little bit more of what we have in reference to doing image deviation and inventory with application and change control.